Sitting here with a face that you know, he might as well just travel with me, be with me, because when the games are over, he's always in the winning chair. Coach George Ward, championship Coach George Ward. But I'm over here in the inner sanctum. I feel privileged to be able to have access to this holy place, to be able to come see your guys work out. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good, man. Good. It's Monday. We working.
Monday you working, keeping it together. And it's a holiday, too. It's the namesake of the school's birthday.
No question about it. You know, we were actually going to take the day off today. And I thought about it. I said, it's an opportunity for us to get better. And it's an opportunity for the guys to have fun while getting better. You can't have fun if you aren't getting better. And you can't get better if you ain't having fun. So I think for the guys, not as much stress today. A lot of shooting, a lot of ball handlers you've been able to see. Getting our bigs and a lot of individual work. So that's what we're doing today in honor of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a little light. I see that. You know, by talking to you guys, having a chance to talk to, all of them, and they sit down, when I pose a question to them, how was it playing for Coach George Ward? Hey, man, let me tell you something. It was unfiltered, Coach. They were shaking their head. But let me tell you, you'll better see it when this comes out. They all talked about how tough and how hard. But someone as far as to say, well, but he's making me be a man. He said he's being honest. He could be honest with me no matter what. I mean, this was the theme, Coach. And they're also saying that it may be hard, but we know this is helping us. He sees greatness in us, so he wants us to be great. So when you hear those things, what do you think?
Wow, it's amazing because I understand. When I got the job here in 2014, I obviously had a great run at Southeastern High School. I love my people over at 3030 Fairview. Just a wonderful tenure that we had over there. But I got here and I said, I'm going to be honest. I had an opportunity, I think, to change the landscape of basketball in our state. Because King is a testing school. And 40% of our youngsters at the time did not test to get in. So I had an opportunity to get a multitude of young men to come in and come to school here. But the one thing that I did not take into consideration is, as I always say, this ain't for everybody.
Ain't for everybody.
Everybody, it's 2022. So everybody's not interested in you pushing and challenging their son every day. Although the challenges of life are going to be much more difficult than George.
They don't go away.
They don't go away, and as a matter of fact, the older you get, the more they increase. So again, my expectation for them is the greatness that they have within them.
Yeah, I see that. Talk about your coaching staff. Somebody made a comment one time on one of your winning pictures because you got a robust coaching staff. And I don't know what they were trying to do. They said, well, which one's the head coach? As if to say so many, but with the support you have success, and winning solves everything. So talk about the robust nature of your coaching staff. You got a lot of guys here helping you out.
A lot of guys here helping me out. Understand. Number one, basketball isn't the criteria for me when it comes to coaching. X's and O's, I do a pretty good job of that. So I think for me at the forefront is having great fathers around my young men. That's the number one for me. That's the number one key for me is another man that they can look at and say, I would like to emulate him. So when we put men in front of their faces every day, I want them to see men. I want them to see masculinity. I want them to see leadership. I want them to see transparency. I want them to see love. And oftentimes, really at the core of our community, the lack of love from the men in the community oftentimes brings so much pain that it's unbelievable. So the first thing I want is for our young men to see men who love them on a daily basis.
Now, Coach, some people I would be careful to pose this question to, but I know you're rough and ready, you can handle it. Some argue there's an emasculation taking place in our society. So when you place an emphasis on masculinity, that's almost becoming a buzzword and a trigger word for someone to try to challenge you on that.
Well, it's not, because again, it's not about sexuality. And we talk about masculinity, we're not talking about beating anybody up. The one thing, my players have never seen me beat anybody up. They haven't seen me cuss anybody out. They don't see that kind of stuff. But we talk about masculinity, we're talking about being masculine enough to stand up and deal with your responsibilities.
Masculine enough to stand up and deal with your responsibilities.
Whatever the responsibilities are.
That shuts them down right there.
And oftentimes, for me, I look at it, my guys have seen me cry. They see me with my daughter. They see me sing songs with her. And Chauncey told me one day, I'll never forget it, he was in the 9th grade. He grabbed my knee and we had picked my daughter up from Bates Elementary School at that time. She was at Bates Middle School. And he said, Coach, he said, man, you're a good father, man. And I'm laughing, I'm playing it off. But I kind of looked at him, he looking at me like, no, man, I'm serious.
Wow.
You know, so they get to see me. You know, people that come to games, like Bobby Womack said, people get to see the side of me that you pay to see.
Ooh, okay.
You ain't get to see me. You don't know who I am.
Right.
So for me, the thing that matters to me is these young people and their parents understanding that when they're with me, I'm going to be stressing the same rules that you are. And as a matter of fact, my rules are probably going to be a little bit more strenuous, and they're going to be held to a high standard. We don't litter. You look around our gym right now. You don't litter. You don't hear the N-word. We not cussing. I'm going to do a little bit of cussing every now and again. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're going to make sure that everyone that comes into our gym, everyone that comes within our circle is loved and feels loved. There's no hatred.
Sure.
When the 8th grader comes in here, if he's supposed to be a good player or something like that, everybody welcomes him.
Yeah.
Because we understand that outside of the 32 minutes that we're inside that rectangle against another school or against another opponent, this is all love. Without unity in our community, we are nothing anyway. So, yeah, you know, basketball, I'm the basketball coach, but I tell anybody, man, I'm their life coach more than anything. I talk to them more about life than I do about basketball.
Now,
we just happen to be good at it.
But I say, imagine you see your former players coming back and reaching out and staying in touch too.
Man, you just saw one of my former players at Southeastern High School, William Washington. William lived with me. His mom was, his family are service people. And he was a big, strong guy, and they knew he was a grown man in a literal sense. They said, no, you ain't staying home by yourself.
Yeah.
You gonna stay with Coach Ward. And to this day, he brings his son up here to work out. You know, Michael Bergen, that played with me at Southeastern, Brandon Kearney. All of my former players, each and every one of them, Durham Flemington Jr., every one of them are great fathers.
And you help model that.
Maybe, but they had great parents as well.
Sure.
But the one thing that I know is they look at me and view me enough to say, you know what, let me go and take my son. Let me go take my daughter so he can see Coach. Let me have my daughter be Coach. Because they know that's what's important to me. So once we're done playing basketball here and again, we just happen to be good enough where we're pretty victorious on a regular basis. We managed to figure out a way to sustain some type of excellence, right? Sure. But at the end, when they're done cheering for you inside of this rectangle, like we talked about, are your children going to cheer for you? Right? Is your family cheering for you? Is your family feeling blessed that you're a part of the family, that you're the leader of the family? So again, I love these cheers like everybody else. But when the ball stops bouncing, are we still cheering for you? Yeah. Is the family cheering for you? Is the family applauding the fact that you are the integral leader of the family? And that's what we're really about. So
it's funny you say that, and this segues into you talking about victory and winning, but staying with the family theme for a moment. Because I'm based in East Lansing, proud of Detroit, and my mom is on the east side. Yeah, that's right. And so I brought my daughter down with me this weekend. She was at, spending time with grandma doing that thing. But, we had a late night over at River Rouge. Congratulations to the win over Grand Blanc. We'll talk about that. Let me tell you something, Coach. When I got home a little bit after 11, and my daughter was asking, is Daddy going to be here, man? The look she had on her face, the smile she gave me. Hey, man, listen.
Well, she saw you.
Listen, man.
Come on, man. You in the car right now thinking about it.
Man, let me tell you something. If I didn't have a focus, what was most important to me was that, and to put everything in perspective. And I just think we missed that. George, I don't want to get off on a tangent. I do want to talk about the recent game and whatnot.
Sure. SPS, man.
I know, and I know you can help me walk down this road. But let's just talk about this family thing and where it can be said that black men are, there for their children. But right now we see some groups going on, but we see black men being built up to see the right things and do the right things, being coached hard, being having expectations. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Being loved hard. See, oftentimes, people will say, well, man, you coach him hard. No, I love him hard. There's Matthew Coffey right there. And I know for a fact, he talks to me, he's as intelligent a young man as you'll find. And he talks to me about, Coach, man, if I'd have just stayed here in the 9th grade, he's a neighborhood kid. If I'd have just came here and stayed here in the 9th grade, he would be on some Jaleel Okafor stuff. I tell people all the time, this kid would be incredible. But because of the perception of I'm the big bad wolf, everybody want to shy away from that. But in the end, ultimately, this is what you need.
Yeah. So they have to go and get those bumps and bruises of life experience and realize that they weren't really protecting them for anything.
They're not and number one, this is the irony of this conversation is, how are you protecting someone from the very thing they need?
Yeah.
How can you protect someone from oxygen? how do you consider yourself protecting them? So in the end, when you see my guys, during the course of the game, they look like, man, the coaches get on them, and I hold my coaches to a higher standard to hold them accountable so they can hold the players accountable. And guess what? In the end, those young people know, hey man, these coaches love me. Yeah. These coaches, when they go to prom, when they graduate from high school, when they need a couple dollars, when they need to eat, when they need someone to talk to, we are there for them all the time. And I just think ultimately, for me, my guys understand, and I talk to them about this, as a man in the family, you got to be willing to make some decisions that aren't popular. Yeah. You got to say no. Hey, you can't go to this party. Yeah. And you won't even understand why you can't go to the party, and we'll sit down and have a conversation at some point. Right. But right now, I'm going to make an unpopular decision, and I'm going to lay my head down and feel comfortable knowing that I did what was best for you at that time.
The idea of standing on it once you do it.
Come on, man. You got to stand on it. And that's where, again, I always say, if Good Times was to air right now, if it was to start off right now and James Evans was James Evans, you realize after 2 weeks, they'll shut that show out.
2 weeks?
Oh, yeah. You're right. I didn't expect it. Right in the middle of the show. They might say, hey, man, it might go black. It could go black.
And he didn't do nothing but stand up for his children,
that's all.
Stand up for his family, and work hard every day.
Stern, firm voice.
And they had to write him off the show. They had to kill him.
What you mean? They killed him off the show. Florida. Esther Roll was so unbelievable. She said, I will not do this show, because initially they piloted and presented it as a single mom. Esther Roll said, no, we ain't doing that. Yeah. You're going to give these young people a father, a real father. Sure. And they chose the ideal person in my man. And James Evans did such a wonderful job. John Amos, he did such a wonderful job. It's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. But you understand where we are now, and I understand the dynamic. It's sheer responsibility. Talking to Dr. Carl Taylor on my podcast a couple weeks ago.
Shout out to State Champions.
Oh, man. Shout out to State Champions podcast. But Dr. Carl Taylor, man, that you know, was unbelievable. He talked about shared leadership and shared responsibility. And we have to get to that. So mom and dad can share the responsibility and share the leadership. But ultimately, the ultimate decision comes down to dad. And that's how it should be. And our young people should not see that.
I feel social media blowing up already, man, with that one.
But it should. Yeah. So are we going to listen, okay? Are we going to lie? And so if we look at the dynamics, and the single parent home, the single moms is not a new phenomenon. And without our mothers, man, we couldn't be anything. Right. Let's understand that. Right. But I also understand, as long as these young men see their mothers have to do everything, it really shows them subconsciously that they aren't to do too much. These young men have to see. These young men have to see dad come home late, come home tired some days. They have to see him They have to see him making a sacrifice. They have to see him putting his foot down when the garbage isn't taken out. Yeah. My father never told me anything twice. The same thing, and the second time when he said it, he said it in a pleasant way. Really? The second time he said it, man, you better cut it out.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Didn't I tell you to take it? Yeah. But that was welcomed in 1975. That was welcomed in 1981. Yeah. Now they said to the man, "Hey, man, the young man, he didn't like the way you talked to him." Well, okay, cool. So what? I want to make him uncomfortable enough where he gets better. Yeah. And that's what this thing is all about. Yeah. Because if you look at our community right now, we're looking at 15-year-olds meeting each other at gas stations to kill another 15-year-old. We're looking at our young people. Criminals are becoming younger and younger and more violent every day. But yet you want to tell me, let's stay in the same place that we are right now, and let's not get back to what we were. Then who's benefiting from that? Yeah. And not the community, not these young people. So my young people, I'm going to keep them in a bubble. And everybody outside the bubble can talk about it and make fun of it all they want to. But my young men are going to continue to be successful.
Yeah.